So today we'll be learning about a very important CSS property, that is display property. It plays a vital role in determining how our web page is going to look like. On the basis of display, there are basically three types of element. First one is block element, second one is inline block element, and third is inline element. I'll be teaching you about each of these elements and how you can switch their property from one to another. So first, let's talk about inline block element, because we have a live example right in front of us, that is this image element. This image element is an example of inline block element, and inline block element are those elements which takes up as much space as the need on the web page. For example, this image, we have given its height and width 500 pixel and 300 pixel plus some border width, so it will occupy only that much space, that is 306 pixel and 506 pixel. Let me show you what I mean. When we inspect this page and go to our image element, see, this only takes up this 300 into 500 plus this border element, and rest of the page is free. This image is not using any further space. So what that means is, if we add another element on this page, so it will by default go right besides this element, not on the next line. For example, let's add a newly learned element, that is text box. For that, write input, and we know by default its type is text only, so we can skip writing type for a while. We can give a placeholder so that we can easily differentiate. Let's write check, and now save this. See, this input element appeared right next to this image element, which means this text box is also an example of inline block element, because this is also taking up the space which it needs. Let's see this also. See, it's only taking up the space which we need, which again means if we add another input element, it will also appear right next to it. Let's write check2 and save this. See, as I told you. Now these are the example of inline block element. Now the second type of element is block element. Block element are those elements which takes up the entire line irrespective of their size. Which means if we add another element which is a block element, then that element should not appear right next to it, because it needs an entire line. So block element will start right from the start and it will go till the further end. So the example of a block element is a paragraph element. Let's see some example. Write paragraph, and inside this write any text. Let's say write, this is a statement. Now save this. See, since this is a block element, it appeared on a new line, and at the same time it takes the entire line, which means if we add another element after this, that another element won't be appearing right next to it, but it will appear beneath this statement. First of all, let's see this block element. See, this is the margin. It's taking up the entire line, although the content of the line is this much only. See, this text line is also taking up the entire line, but we can change that for a while. So let's style this. For that, write class. Let's, for simplicity, let's write p only, and in image target this p. Let's give this a width, let's say 40 pixels only. Now save this. Also we need to save this file. See, since we have given the width to 40 pixel only, the text got wrapped up in under 40 pixels, but till it takes up the entire line. Now let's see what happens if we add another inline block element after this paragraph element. Let's copy this from here only. Write check 3. See, this element appeared beneath this statement. Although this statement is only 40 pixel wide, but still, because it is a block element, it will take the entire line. Now there is a third type of element, that is called inline element. Inline element are element which appears inside a line. Let me show you. Let me show you the example. First of all, let's increase the width for a while. Let's say 400 pixels. Save this. Now let's again view this. This is the 400 pixel mark. Now, inline element does not play a vital role in determining the look of a web page. These elements are the element which appear inside a line. For example, we have used an element inside this paragraph element that was strong, if you remember. So that was the example of inline element. Let's try strong, and inside this, like this is. Let's move this to a next line. Save this. Now is got bolded because we have put it in the strong element, and this is an example of inline element. Let me show you. See, this also takes up the space which is required for it, but it appears inside a line only, so it does not play a vital role. Now let's see what happens if we convert this to a block element, and vice versa for this block element. For image, we need to target this in image only, write the property display, and we know image by default is a inline block element. Now let's convert it to block element. Save this. As you must have guessed, now since this became a block element, so this image also needs an entire line. Although image is itself 300 pixel wide, but because of it being a block element, it needs the entire line. See, and therefore these two checkbox can no longer be in the same line, so they have to came down. Now let's do one thing. Let's convert this block element into an inline block element. This is a paragraph. We have already given it a class P, and write display and write inline block element. Now before saving this, first you guess what is going to happen. Guess it. Now let me save this. See, now since these all elements now became an inline block element, so they are all appearing in the same line only. Now you might be assuming why there is a plenty of space right here, because we have forced the width of this element to 400 pixels only. So that's why. Let's remove this to see what happens. Save this. See, now they are all right next to each other. Now they are all taking the space which they really need. Now just for practice, let's convert this check to element from inline block to a block element. First, let's give this a class check to, right, class c2. Save this, and in this CSS file, let's target this by dot c2 and write display block. Save this. See, this check was inline block element, but since this check2 and this image, they are both now block element, so this also had to appear in a separate line only. And now the further check3 and this paragraph element are now inline block element, so they are both appearing in the same line. Now this was all about CSS display property.